Welcome to Crossroad Connection. We're reaching out to those who need help. We're speaking out for those who are left unheard. My name is David Schuringa. I'm the president of Crossroad Bible Institute and the host of the program. I have in the studio with me today a very special friend. His name is Dr. Bob Bolton. And Bob is a longtime CBI instructor. Welcome to the show, first of all.
Good. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Right. You actually have a number of hats. I mean, how long have you been an instructor?
I think about 17 or 18 years.
Wow. I didn't even realize that was that long.
Yeah.
17 years. So you go way back.
I go way back.
Also, we're here in Grand Rapids. You are a faithful office volunteer, and you come in on a regular basis. I know you also promote Crossroad at your church, Plymouth Heights Church, and stuff. So you've been a real fan and a participant and a valuable player at Crossroad. Before we get on our conversation, I should just mention to folks that I'm pretty sure I have this right. I don't know if you remember it, but you are a retired pediatrician, correct?
Semi-retired.
Oh, semi. Okay.
I still work 66 days a year.
66 days a year.
66 days a year.
Okay, so you're still practicing.
Yeah.
Because part-time. Well, the reason I mention that is back when I was in my first pastorate here in Wyoming, close by, and before I went to the Netherlands with my family, you were the pediatrician for our kids.
Sure. That's why they turned out so good.
That's what I was going to say. Do you remember that? You know.
I do.
So we've got good connections, professional and personal. And it's just it's great to have you here for our listeners, for our viewers, just to talk with someone who's been an instructor and involved in this for a long, long time. And the first question is, why prison ministry? Because I know you're involved in many philanthropic kind of programs, and you travel and do things, but this particular area of prison ministry, is there some particular reason why this has been attractive to you?
A couple reasons. One, I have a son who's been troubled in his past life, and he spent 7 months in Kent County Jail.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so
that gets you involved.
That gets you very involved from the other side.
Right.
And I've developed a real empathy then for people who are incarcerated. The other thing is that through CBI, I was recruited 17 or 18 years ago to become an instructor. And through that, prison ministry has just become a passion of mine. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you a story about that in just a few minutes.
Well, that's really interesting because it's become a passion of a lot of people in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because I just recently read an article in the Washington Post, and they're trying to figure out why is it that crime has been in decline for the last 20 years. And so they try to trace it to abortion, to tougher laws on crime, to lead.
Yeah.
I guess you would know as a pediatrician, I guess if little kids are exposed to lead, I guess that can cause criminal behavior or something. But it's also interesting that there's millions of people like you in the church who have been getting involved the last 20 years. And you have to wonder if that hasn't had an effect on the drop of crime. It sure seems as plausible as the others.
Oh, I absolutely believe it, because I am absolutely convinced that the only answer to the criminal mind is a conversion to Jesus Christ.
And this is
ultimately,
and this is from a medical doctor. So I mean,
absolutely,
you're coming from a knowledgeable perspective on human behavior and all the rest.
Yeah.
When I think of you as a pediatrician, you must have given some thought, maybe though, to the difference in upbringing, perhaps among many people who are in prison, because you have seen, I guess, quite a few things with people bringing in their children and so forth. Any thoughts about that and early childhood development and what that has to do with it?
Well, let me tell you my little story if I can.
Great.
Okay. I take care of a couple of kids in my practice, my behavioral practice. And 5 years ago, their mother came in with these kids, and I had known her before because I had taken care of her older kids as a pediatrician years and years before. And she came in and she says, "I've got bad news and I've got good news." And she said, "Dylan, her 6th son, is in prison." She said, "But the good news is he's become a Christian." And I said, "Well, man, that's fascinating." I says, "I'm involved in a prison correspondence course. Do you think he'd be interested?" She said, "Maybe." So I sent him an application blank, and he has just whizzed through. He's now at Tier 3.
Really?
And doing wonderfully. About 3 years ago, I started to correspond with him, and then a year and a half ago, I started to visit him. And he has just recently been moved into the faith-based program at Muskegon that Prison Fellowship has, entering into prisoners to pastors program.
Oh, right.
And it is so exciting. And he's an evangelist. One of his cellmates has become a believer through this. Mm-hmm. So it's just a trickle-down effect.
Yeah, it has.
And Crossroads has been such an influential part of his maturing as a Christian.
Well, that's a wonderful story. So they can have maybe a rough start or something happens, but it can be, you're convinced, turned around.
He tells, and his mother supports that he was as base and debauched as can be when he was 21. It was drugs and women and crime, stealing. I mean, his crime is a serious one. He had a police shootout.
Wow.
So he's sentenced for a long time.
Yes.
And but he knows that it was in God's plan, because the night that he went into jail, God put a believer in his cell, and that believer led him to the Lord that night, and it's been a growth process ever since.
Well, it's interesting. We have a small indicator of the effects of the program upon others, too, because over a third of our students come from referrals from our students.
Absolutely.
So what that means is that they take the course, like your friend, and they say, "This is the real deal."
Yeah.
But now, I attribute that to our instructors.
Oh,
I think we have
yes.
some good courses.
Yes.
But isn't it the personal care
Absolutely.
and concern and personalized kind of conversation,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what they're longing for. That's what they want.
Oh, they yearn for personal connection.
They want some mentorship. I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, family has, in many respects, abandoned them, and friends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, it's that personal character that sets the program above all else. It takes more work.
Yes.
More commitment.
I was just entering score reports this morning, and to read the comments that these instructors are writing about the students, it's just a thrill.
Yes. It never gets old, does it?
No. And as you grade lessons, they come up with such wonderful testimonies. I mean, I've changed my view about inmates. There are some real bad actors in there, but there are a lot of good people who have made a stupid mistake at some point in their life.
They're not all serial killers.
That's right. And what I've come to realize is that God loves each one of them just as much as he loves me.
Well, you're approaching my next questions, and that is, people think about prison ministry, how it helps the prisoners, but has it had a positive effect upon you? And can you try to describe that for our viewers?
Absolutely. Well, I don't know whether I can describe it, but it has made me much more empathetic. It's given me a deep love for these prisoners, again, who are children of God, whether they know it or not.
Right, they're image bearers of God.
Absolutely.
So there are equals, right?
Absolutely.
So you don't seem to approach them as these poor suckers down there as you have to help lift them up.
No.
It's a one-on-one. You learn from them, they learn from you. Image bearers of God. That makes all the difference.
And sadly enough, most people in the world consider them a throwaway commodity.
These are the forgotten ones, right?
Absolutely.
It's no wonder that already in the Bible, Hebrews 13, says, remember those in prison. So, already back then and before,
Absolutely.
These are the throwaways, the forgotten ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Who would you recommend to become an instructor?
That's a good question, because I think that being a CBI instructor is one of the most ideal sorts of ministry that people can get involved in. I mean, you don't have to go to committee meetings. You don't have to schedule stuff. You get your lesson usually on Sunday. I get mine on Sundays. And then in the next 4 or 5 days, at my leisure, I can sit down with a cup of coffee and grade these lessons. Mm-hmm. So it asks very little as far as time commitment for committee meetings.
It doesn't tie you up in your time because it works around your schedule.
That's right.
Have you ever used our situation where when you left town for a while or on vacation, where you just said, put my lessons on hold or something?
Absolutely. I do that all the time because I travel a lot.
You travel a lot, so that continues to be convenient, right? You don't You don't come back and they're all piled up.
No, that's right. I just tell Karen what my schedule's like, and she figures it all out.
And also, our viewers should know that if they're going to be an extended stay somewhere, we can have the lessons go
forward
right there to them.
Yep.
So, you are a doctor. Someone who's very busy, does a lot of traveling, but the program works in your schedule.
It works wonderfully. I love it.
Yes.
Well, and I'm blessed.
Yes.
I'm so blessed.
Right. Well, it's just been a blessing. We've been blessed to have you on the program, Bob. And I just want to thank you so much for all that you're doing, and sort of see you as a representative instructor. I'm going to thank all instructors, because we have over 5,000, 5,300 of the greatest people in the world who are experiencing the love of Christ through this ministry and making a huge difference. I always tell instructors when I travel around and preach, CBI's ministry is not in this building so much. It's everywhere an instructor is.
It's in those 5,000 instructors. That's right.
Wherever those instructors, that's where the hands-on ministry. They are in the trenches.
That's right.
And we here in the office are basically their cheerleaders because they're doing the ministry.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing the ministry.
Well, it's my privilege. How can you thank me when I'm all the recipient of the blessings?
Yes. Well, thank you, my brother. And thank you for being with us today on Crossroad Connection. It's been a great show talking with my good friend Bob Bolton, and I hope that you enjoyed the show, and we hope to see you again here next week.